Hello everybody, my name is Nabiha and welcome to my presentation on facial cleanser formulations for various skin types. So a little bit of background on facial cleansers. They often contain active ingredients that claim to help with acne, skin redness, dryness, and other facial symptoms. Their active ingredients often include salicylic acid, niacinamide, sodium lauryl sulfate, as well as retinol. Human facial skin is especially susceptible to different types of bacterial infections, including Propionibacterium acnes, which is the image on the right. This is actually the bacteria that causes acne. That, along with oil and dirt buildup, can lead to not only acne, but skin redness and blackheads. So the objective of my experiment was to prepare formulations to treat acne using ingredients not usually found together. This includes niacinamide, salicylic acid, and retinol acetate. I tried to avoid using controversial ingredients such as sodium lauryl sulfate, as they could potentially be eye irritators or endocrine disruptors. The first step in my methodology was to create the formulations. I had 5 formulations in total, and Formula 1 was for dry and acne-prone skin. The active ingredient in this formula was niacinamide, which often helps with skin rosacea or skin redness. Charcoal was used to help to clean with pores, and honey, aloe vera, and coconut oil were used as moisturizers. Tea tree oil was used to help with any acne scarring. Formula 2 was used to combat regular and acne-prone skin. Again, using niacinamide, this time at a bit of a lower concentration, and this time including salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is a common exfoliant found in acne treatments and can help to shed the outer layer of skin. Coconut oil was again used as a moisturizer, and Castile soap was used, much like last time, as a foaming agent. Green tea was also used to help combat with any acne and help provide any soothing treatments to the cleanser. Formula 3 was designed for oily and acne-prone skin, this time using niacinamide at a much lower concentration, as well as salicylic acid and now retinol. Retinol oftentimes has a drying effect, which could help with the oily skin, and also helps to decrease inflammation and heal scars. Honey was used as a moisturizer as well as an antibacterial, and aloe was used to help treat any scarring, while the orange oil and the lemongrass were used as relaxing aromas in the cleanser. Formula 4 was for wrinkle prevention. The only active ingredient used this time was retinol, this time for its effects in encouraging new skin growth, which could help with reducing wrinkles. Coconut oil was again used as a moisturizer, while honey was used to smooth and plumpen the skin. Tea tree oil was used to reduce any scars and dark spots. Formula 5 was designed for damaged skin. Notice how there are no active ingredients involved in Formula 5. This because I didn't want the chemicals in the active ingredients disturbing any healing processes in the skin. Coconut oil was used for its antibacterial, antifungal, and moisturizing effects. Honey was used to moisturize and soothe the skin, and aloe was used to treat any potential burns and scars. The control used was the Burts Bees Cleanser for normal to dry skin. Many of these ingredients may not be words that you can pronounce or have seen often. They're mainly just oils and fats used to encourage new healthy skin growth. Notice how number 3, while isn't sodium lauryl sulfate, is a laureth, which again is one of the controversial ingredients that I was trying to avoid. So the next step in my methodology was to analyze the formulas I was using. The first test I ran was on pH of all the formulations. I wanted to make sure that my pH was close to skin pH, which is typically between 4 and 6 on the pH scale. I didn't want it to be too high or too low. In other words, I didn't want it to be too acidic or too basic compared to skin, because this could disrupt the pH balance in skin, requiring the use of either a toner or even damaging the skin. Next test I performed was foaming ability. The foaming ability, and like I said, the foaming agent I used was Castile soap, Foaming ability is very important because the foam created actually is micelles that are being created. And micelles have both a hydrophobic and hydrophilic end. These micelle molecules will help to trap dirt, oil, and any grease on our skin and wash it away. Viscosity was the next test that I had for my cleansers. Viscosity is, while I did measure it quantitatively and had numbers and charts, which I'll later share in my results, is a very important qualitative measurement to have, just because knowing you don't want a cleanser that's so thick that it needs to be microwaved, and you don't want one that's so runny that you can't hold in your hands and put it on your face. Viscosity is actually defined as resistance to flow. So whereas maple syrup may be a highly viscous liquid, water is a much less viscous, thinner liquid. The last test that I intended to perform but did not have the opportunity to due to the quarantining situation was a cleaning ability test. This, for obvious reasons, is very important to know about our cleansers. The idea was to use leather to simulate human skin and place makeup on it, and then see how long and how hard it was needed to scrub so that we had an understanding of how the facial cleanser was working. You don't want a facial cleanser that requires an immense amount of time and effort and scrubbing, because this could then later damage the skin. So in my results, you can see that I have my formulas mainly on the basic side. Anywhere from 1 to 7 on the pH scale is seen as acidic, 7 is typically seen as neutral, and anything above 7 to 14 is basic. Most of my formulas were, like I said, on the basic side. Human skin, while is typically between 4 and 6, for many people is about 5.5. I think depending on your skin type and what you need, you might have different pHs of the facial cleanser. And it's important to test out different facial cleansers and see what works best for your skin. The next test, like I said, I ran was foaming ability. It was seen in the controls that the foaming ability was much higher than any of the formulas I created. So here's a more zoomed in graph of that. And I believe this was because the control had many more fats involved in its ingredients, which allowed for it to have a higher foaming ability. The next test I ran was viscosity. Viscosity was kind of varied all over the board, and I think the type of viscosity you want in a facial cleanser really depends on your preference. Some people like a thicker, creamier viscosity so that they can see more of the moisturizing effects, and some people prefer non-foaming cleansers. So really just depending on your preference and what works best for your skin type, I had viscosities in every range. So I found that after doing some literature review, after performing many of my tests and doing some literature review, that oftentimes niacinamide is not combined with salicylic acid because it will convert to a nicotinic acid and can become too acidic for the face. This was really interesting to me because I found it after I'd already run my pH tests, but my pH test showed that my formulations were more on the basic side than acidic anyways. I think if I had more time, I'd want to rerun the pH tests just to make sure that I had the right numbers and that I wasn't missing something. I also later found that the reason why retinol isn't usually combined with salicylic acid is because when combined together, it will deactivate retinol. This is only pertinent to Formula 3, but again, if I had more time, I probably would have reworked this formula. If I had more time, and if, again, quarantine hadn't happened, I would have also liked to do all my tests in duplicates and triplicates and finish my cleaning abilities measurements. In conclusion, most of my formulas, all my formulas were, they had a nice fragrance to them and they were very smooth and moisturizing in appearance at least. I had to use gloves the whole time, so I didn't have the opportunity to wash my own hands with these, but it seemed like they, at least qualitatively, would have worked well. Compared to the control, the formulations tended to be more basic and had lower foaming abilities. The viscosities varied, and again, I think your preference is what creates what is more important. And the cleaning ability test could not be performed due to COVID-19. These are my works cited, and I wanted to give a special thank you to Meredith's chemistry department, especially Dr. Lilly, who helped to order many of my ingredients, and the undergraduate research program for helping to organize and put together CSA Day. If you have any questions, please contact me at the email listed, and thank you so much for attending my presentation.